right, welcome everyone to 1678 Team Structure and Management. So I am Kina Lee.
And I'm Steven Zhang, and we're going to be your presenters for today.
Great. So who are we?
So we are the co-captains of Team 1678 Citrus Circuits for this 2023-2024 season. We're both fourth-year students, and we're both seniors on the team. You want to introduce yourself?
Sure. So on the team, I'm on hardware design. So we take care of the CAD and assembly, and we generally manage just the hardware side of things. And I'm also part of the strategy subteam.
For me, when I joined in 9th grade, I was on hardware design for the first 2 years. And then in 11th grade, I joined hardware fabrication. I became the lead of that. And then this year, doing this stuff. But I'm still in hardware fabrication. And I'm also one of the impact presenters for this year and last year.
And we should just give a quick disclaimer that we are as dedicated and passionate as we would like to be. We are still just students. We are just like you guys. So please take what we say with a grain of salt, or many. Great, so let's get started with our team mission and vision. So the vision is what your view for the future is, but the mission statement is how you pursue your vision. So everything that your team does should always link back to these two statements. So as an example, our vision and mission statements are that we transform our communities through education, we engage people of all ages through outreach, we inspire others with our commitment to excellence, and we strive to educate, empower, and excel.
And then our mission statement, Team 1678 pursues our vision by building a student-led, mentor-based environment that fosters innovation and teaches interpersonal and technical skills. Citrus Circuits also develops local partnerships and community outreach while striving to compete at the highest level possible. And we have this little shorthand for Educate, Empower, Excel. You can see that's our 3 big words here: Educate, Empower, Excel. We have a shorthand that is EdMX.
Great, so just getting into our team structure. So this is generally how our team is organized. We have our core leadership at the top, which manages hardware, software, business, and media, and our secondary sub-teams. So under hardware, we have fabrication, electrical, and design. Software, we have robot and scouting. Business and media is kind of its own little black sheep. And then we have our strategy and impact awards sub-teams. So every single student on our team has a primary sub-team, but they can opt in to join a secondary sub-team, which is what Stephen and I have done. Additionally, we have a student lead who is responsible for each of these sub-teams, and we have regular weekly leadership meetings prior to our team meeting, just so that we can update each other on what we're doing that meeting, things like longer term goals that we need to continue working towards in the background, and just setting a precedent for the rest of our team so that we have one coordinated effort. We all know what our goals are for the season and beyond.
And to add on to that real quick, so as Kina said, we do have one lead for each of our sub-teams. So that means we have one lead for hardware fabrication, one lead for hardware electrical, one lead for hardware design. And then for software, of course, is one lead for robot. But then in scouting, we have both a front-end lead and a back-end lead. And then including secondary sub-teams, strategy has their own lead, and same with impact award as well. And then on those Wednesday meetings, we all get together, we bring up agenda items, we talk about what our vision is for the short term and the long term, and just overall how we're going to continue to operate.
It's worth defining what core leadership is. I realized I did not mention that. So that is actually just Stephen and I, as well as our core mentors. So we also have the rest of our mentors. They basically work with their respective sub-teams that they opt into, and they would communicate with their sub-team leads. Mm-hmm. We also have a set of outreach leads who have to coordinate their respective outreach programs. Some of them are larger, some of them are smaller, but yeah.
So what does a year look like on 1678? So of course we start out the year in January. I think this year's January 6th where it starts, with our 6-week build season from early January to our late February. And then we go into our competition season, which typically happens early March to mid-April. And we try to go to 3 regionals, and if we're fortunate enough, we qualify for World Champs in Texas. And then as soon as that ends, we go into our off-season. So we start our off-season projects, whether that be through our clone robots for Madtown Throwdown, any other facility upgrades that we need to do, as well as choosing leadership for this upcoming year. And we typically go to 3 off-season events. So the first one we went to is typically Chesney Champs in Bellarmine. And then we go to this one that we're all here right now. And and then we typically go to Madtown Throwdown in Madeira that I think is in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, so it's also worth mentioning we are a year-round team, and we do our team recruitment in the summer. So that is just when we actually have applications to join our team, and we do team interviews. All right, so what does a typical meeting look like? So our off-season meeting schedule is every Wednesday and Thursday from 6:30 to 9. So we start with a general meeting where we share team-wide announcements, which are relevant for everyone. So this is around 10 minutes, and then we break into our own sub-teams for the rest of the time, and we have a dedicated portion called Clean 15, which is specifically for putting away everything you've taken out, tidying up the classrooms in our shop, just making sure that our facility is cleaner than we started the meeting with. And when we enter build season, we actually have additional mandatory meetings on Saturdays and Sundays, as well as on Monday holidays from 9 to 5. So we do provide lunch. The structure is similar. We have a general meeting at the beginning of each meeting. Then we break into sub-team work. We have a 1 hour rest period just so everyone can eat, recharge. Then we go back into sub-team work and we have another dedicated Clean 15 period.
Okay, so our attendance policy. I'm gonna go over real quick. You guys see the picture there? We have 108 students on our team, along with 22 volunteer mentors that we're so gracious to have. And so our general policy that comes with attendance is that we require students to maintain at least an 80% attendance rate. You can find it in our 4.1.2 section of our handbook. And we also, one of the responsibilities of every sub-team lead is that they're responsible for tracking each of their members' attendance. And then we typically do evaluations at the end of every month, typically in off-season, and then cuts will typically occur right before build season starts. So if we have students who are really not meeting that 80% attendance rate, who are maybe like really close and have a reason or explanation of why they are not able to attend as many meetings as they can, then those generally, we typically continue to let them to stay on for the season. And then the possible marks that we have for attendance and that leads can put their members under is present. So that is you are present for the whole meeting, you are doing your sub-team work, you're going above and beyond, you're cleaning your stuff. That's a very big one. And then we have absent unnotified and partial unnotifieds. So it's kind of what it sounds like. So if you're absent and you have not notified your sub-team lead at least 24 hours in advance, then you will be marked as absent unnotified. We also have partial unnotified, so that is if you maybe leave an hour or two into a meeting and you don't tell any of your sub-team leads. And then we also have absent notified, partial notifieds. Again, as I said earlier, if you are able to let your sub-team lead know at least 24 hours in advance that you're going to be missing a meeting, then you can fall under absent notified, and partial notified. We also have a mark that's called unproductive. So if you went to a meeting, but you're sitting on your phone the whole time, or you're not doing what you're supposed to do, or you're distracting other people, then you can be marked as unproductive, and that will count against your attendance record. And then we also have absent excused and partial excused. And so we do run a lot of extra meetings that are off season and build season. And so the best thing about having an absent notified is that you're able to actually make that mark up, and you're able to get absent excused or a partial excuse because you've made that meeting up.
Yeah. So we do have many optional meetings during the week, beyond our normal scheduled meetings. It's also important for us to take attendance because a good subsection of our team is actually part of a school class, which provides like academic credit for being on our team and attending like our meetings. So
To add on to that real quick, do you guys know what CTE means? Career Technical Education. So at our school, we've actually been able to establish a CTE pathway called robotics engineering. And so advanced robotics engineering and advanced robotics engineering honors, we can actually get credit from going to team meetings because in eighth period class, we have extra assignments on top of that. But like Kina and I are getting, I think we're both in advanced robotics honors. We both get CTE credit that we need to graduate by being on the team and going to team meetings. Yeah.
All right. So let's begin with our peer-to-peer model. So our training philosophy is that we want to train our students so that they can grow and become older educators on the team. So as seniors ourselves, part of our responsibility as team members is to pass on the information that we've gained from being on the team, and just make sure that our younger students are getting that education and the training that they need to become successful leaders in the future. So obviously the pros of this are that we don't have to rely completely on mentors. They're just there to guide us. And like if there's a specific task that no one is completely sure about doing, they're there to provide reinforcement or just for safety. And also this just builds our student collaboration and communication skills. And a lot of the soft skills are the best parts about this program. I mean, obviously we get awesome technical training, but the stuff that will benefit you for the entire rest of your life will definitely be those communication skills, planning, management, collaboration. But, all right.
And then we also have our off-season projects. So one example of that is our mock kickoff. That typically happens either somewhere the first or second week of December. And so this enables our newer members to basically get basically an example of what a real kickoff is going to look like. We have kickoff discussions. We talk about what we want a robot to do, how we want a robot to do it. We have all these different discussions. We have rules tests that every single member of the team has to take at kickoff. And so this basically prepares them by using older games. So I think when we did one of them, I think it was Steamworks. So we did a mock kickoff of Steamworks. We talked about it. What's the best thing we want a robot to do and all of that. And that's really helpful for us because we have a lot of new members. Out of the 108 students we have, 48 of them are new members. So it really enables every single part of the person on the team to get really involved. I'm just really excited about it. We also have our off-season robots. So I think I talked about a little bit before, but this year we have 2 off-season robots. So we have a clone of 4010 and a clone of 3005. And so what this enables us to do is that it enables students to get knowledge on maybe subsystem and mechanisms that we may not have pursued in the past. And teaches veteran students and newer students how these systems work. It also is a great training tool for us. So younger students are able to basically go through the whole process of what it takes to CAD a robot, manufacture a robot, assemble a robot, all the other robot things. But that's what the off-season robots really help us with. We also have our prototyping challenges. So I remember one year we had catapults as one of our challenges where you have basically 2 team meetings to make a contraption to do a certain goal. So we had catapults and we had to launch the big tennis balls in 2022 into different trash cans. And yeah, that also really helps us, especially because the first few weeks of our build season are always dedicated to prototyping, and it gets students ready for that as well. Yeah, we do rewire last season's robot. So this year, a lot of the newer electrical students are spending a lot of time learning about how our competition robot worked last year, how pathways and electrical pathways worked and wire pathways. Yeah, then we have mini robot competitions. I don't remember doing one of those recently, but I think we have definitely done a few of those in the past.
Yeah, it's also so our off-season robots, we actually choose them like so that there's a range of difficulty. So we usually have one simpler robot. So 4010 this year is like a little cube robot. There's like lower complexity so that our newer designers get some experience with actually being able to CAD a robot and like manufacture parts, just go through the process. Our more senior designers get an opportunity to like lead a mechanism or just work on something that's more complex that they maybe did not get a chance to do during the season. So with 3005, if you guys know like that funky claw in the end, it has been giving our designers some grief, but yeah, it's a good learning opportunity. All right, So we also do a lot of in-house training specifically for fabrication. So we train our students on tool and machine use. We were very lucky to just get some new Haas CNC machinery this year. So we do all of our lathe, router, and CNC mill training like in our shop. We produce all of our like as many of our parts as possible in our shop, and it is our students who are the ones machining everything. We also, our programming sub-team teaches the younger students how, like, from scratch in some cases, how to program. And our electrical team also gives hands-on training on how to solder, crimp, all that good stuff. Our business and media team, they do like media design training, how to use, like how to take photos well, how to compose website, like graphic and media. And finally, we do leadership training sessions, which is especially beneficial for our younger outreach leads and also for people like Stephen and me. So, yeah.
So setting goals. So you can see right here, we have our project management board that we put up. You can't really see the ends, but basically each of these swimming rows, if you guys ever swim, each of these rows are basically a different sub-team. So maybe one of them is like fabrication, one of them is design, one of them is electrical. And then we have this little orange string of death that we don't want to be past our goals. And so we decide on what goals we want. So whether that be technical, it can be even like cultural, what we want to change on the team. Culture, we want people to maybe step up more and like attend more meetings or anything like that. And it can also be some personal goals. For us, like a lot of the sub team leads are this is their first year doing it, and so they definitely have some goals that they have set for themselves. You should also decide on your priorities. So this year, at least for this one, oh, it says Chessy Chaps. A lot of these priorities, like we have the purple ones, those are for the 4010 robot. The blue ones are for 2005. We can help decide on what we want to prioritize and when, especially with the board. The setting timeline. So up here, you can see that we have marked S means like Saturday, Sunday. The W is for Wednesday meetings. T is for Thursday meetings. And so basically, we have set out our timeline. I think this is at least a 2 or 3 month timeline that we've set. And sub-team leads are able to go through, add sticky notes, cross off sticky notes when they finish, put red dots on sticky notes if they haven't met that after the orange line of death has passed. And yeah. We also, we have some check-in points. So a lot of times after competitions, we definitely take the time to compartmentalize and to reflect on like, are we doing this the best way we can? How can we improve this? The board used to be like, instead of these little, it could be the board itself. The board used to be like this 2-inch big tape, and that was super hard to use. Everything was going over everything. And that's something that you can reflect on as well and decide maybe we want to make it look nicer and get this smaller tape. That's a very small example, but it is something that can be found through reflection at certain points. And then project management trackers. So the board, as well as we have a sub-team update Slack channel, and I think we have a robot status channel that also gets updated after every meeting.
Yeah, so a lot of the struggle with just a team that's as large as ours is getting everyone on the same page. So it's very nice having something that's openly accessible to everyone on the team, just easily readable and just accurately tracking our goal, like if we've met the goals that we've set for ourselves. It's especially important to note when you haven't met a goal and you might need extra support or just redirection, and just to reset a goal to be a reasonable standard for yourself in the future. And it is completely okay to miss a goal, but it's not okay to miss a goal and just shove it under the rug and just never think about it again. So that's what we're trying to avoid.
Mhm.
And also, our project management board is actually something new that we've been trying this year. Normally, we would just do our documentation through Slack channels or Slack updates. We found that that was just kind of difficult and just isn't as visual as having a changeable schedule for everyone to see. So that's what we're doing this year.
Also, who doesn't like a really nice looking board? I'm just saying. Thanks personally.
All right, so let's get started with our audience activity. So let's have everyone in the room talk to someone on another team, preferably, or if you're sitting just next to other people on your team, you could talk to them too. But just share one of your team's goals for this year and maybe some new goals that you think you should add for this year.
So what I was wondering is to make sure that the newer members of the team can actually understand and like the
42, let's say.
Probably about
Two examples, and then we can move on.
which one that's fine.
Sit down. Be humble.
Yeah, and I mean, our team, she also needed similar.
Hi, audience who's watching on YouTube. I hope you guys are learning a lot, having a great time. We're gonna get going in like a few more minutes, but thank you, YouTube audience.
Sheet that calculates everyone's like overall attendance based on the marks that we get.
Okay. Do we just quick check pixels out?
We don't do check-in, check-out. We just do like did they attend the meeting today.
Yeah.
Our team leads are responsible for doing it. It's not the students themselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can see, I can go ahead. We're gonna do. If I'll get to start off. This new one to put together. When you get to know the term here. Usually in a while, they are going to reach out and give you.
Maybe one more minute. Okay. I feel like we should share with the YouTube audience. One personal goal I've had for myself, YouTube audience.
Is making sure
I want to
that
run more. I feel like that's a personal goal for me. I don't run as enough as I want to. But I'm working on it. And that's what we do. Day by day, we get better. Okay, I'm gonna call it once we get after this minute. Alright.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna call it there for now. Does anyone want to share out one goal? No?
Oh yeah, for sure.
No? Yeah, for sure. Okay. One goal? Anyone? Raise hands? No? Yeah?
We're trying to get a swerve prototype.
Awesome. Let's do one more and then keep going. Yeah?
Having a smooth workflow.
That's a good one.
Yeah, there's also there's different types of goals. We try to keep our goals on the objective side, but regularly we do have some subjective goals, which are just like improve training. But then we try to add quantifiable metrics. So like that, like SMART goal setting, where it's like I forgot what all the letters stand for.
I do not remember either. But it's out there.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so let's get into planning and scheduling. So we do have a public Google Calendar that we share with all of our students, and our students' parents, just so that we're all on the same page on when our meetings are. This also helps us promote meetings just so that we get students to attend. And we also have like a very clear schedule that everyone has access to, so we just all know when we're supposed to be somewhere. And just one more time for announcements, we focus on having clarity and conciseness as well as accessibility for everyone, including people who may have not attended the meeting. So we try to put everything on Slack and in person.
Alright, cat herding. Best part. Or you can also call it logistics, but it's not a cool name. So I handle a lot of the logistics that happen on the team, especially when it comes to Keena and I both do it. But it's like I think at competition, since Keena is also doing match strategy and all that stuff. Yeah. So we have itineraries, so they're also called master list, and basically they hold the schedule. They hold our expectations. So whether that be through what your behavior expectations are, we require every single member going on travel to have me, Keena, and our head mentor's phone numbers, so that they can reach us and we can reach them at any single time throughout the entire event. Also have to deal with meals. This is actually a really fun part. I actually enjoy doing meals a lot. So we typically plan meals at least a week or two ahead. We can calculate the cost and do all that stuff. We can, especially having like a 44-person travel team, we essentially know what the portions are going to be. Getting into meals a lot, but that's just my favorite part. Um, and then transportation. So we have a few methods of transportation to get to these events. So at least for this event and last event at Chessy Champs, we use carpools. So especially for Keenan and I, we have to go into the master list and we basically ask everyone on the travel team if they need a carpool, and what days they're planning to attend. And then we're able to use that information and create a carpool schedule of going there, coming back, which parents are driving, and all of that. Um, and yeah, also a big part of logistics is you gotta be really, really flexible. Things are gonna what is it, Murphy's Law?
Murphy's Law.
What can happen will happen. There are some crazy things. Not extremely crazy.
We've missed a flight before.
We have missed a flight before. But you just have to be flexible, and think on your feet and plan and do all that stuff. That's a big part of doing logistics and handling that at any single event. And then communication. So I'll give you an example for like today at least. So we had our students come over from carpool, and I put a message in our travel Slack channel. Hey, thread this message with when your car leaves Davis and when your car reaches Pleasant Grove High School. And so then every single car is able to thread where they're at and if they've reached the destination, and that is enables us to track everyone, including just overall communication, like letting people know when meals are going to be. That's also handled through the master list, and basically just being very thinking on your feet a lot with communication. Yeah, that's all I
Yeah.
had for cat herding.
I would like to add that we do rely on a lot of support from our students' parents. So they help us organize like meals on the weekend for our students who are attending meetings. They also help provide the carpools. That's how we get here. We use like a lot of parent drivers and parent support just to help our make our team possible. And yeah.
Okay, travel team. I touched on it a little bit before, but we do have a 44-person travel team, and we pick based off a selection process. So each of the sub-team leads basically put in a Google Sheets about their recommendations on students, comments about the students on each and every student. We also have an availability form that goes out so we know who's available for what competition. And then throughout core, we decide a 44-person travel team based off of the comments from our sub-team leads, people's attendance, people's behavior especially, and we take all that into account when it comes to making our travel teams. So the four big sections of our travel team, so we have our pit and drive team, that are typically the first 8 numbers in the roll call, and then we have our I was trying to say scouting and strategy at the same time. We have our scouting and strategies teams, so we have 21 scouts, along with a lead scout, an assistant lead scout, some scouting developers, and then some strategists as well. And that takes up about I think around 28 students in
Yeah,
total.
we have a truly massive scouting team.
Yeah. And then we have our citrus service team. I was the citrus service lead last year, but essentially this program is designed, you're gonna see them here at this competition too. But essentially what this program is entirely designed to help other teams in the spirit of gracious professionalism and cooperation. We have our rolling pit box somewhere in the pit over there, and if you ever need them throughout any single time in this entire competition or in the future, they're probably gonna be somewhere near. So yeah. And then we have our media team. We also call it in the master list PVS, so photo, video, social media. And I think we have typically 2 to 3 students who work on that. They travel early with the core team, and then a few travel later with the scouts and the strategy teams. And then logistics. We talked a little bit about parent chaperones, but parent chaperones are a very big part. If we ever have carpools, we have to have parent chaperones who are able to drive students. So we have to organize all of that. We also have to have parents. A lot of the times they're organizing our meals even at competition. They're helping us pick up the meals that we have ordered in advance. And yeah, be nice to your parents, guys. Very big, very important part. But yeah.
Yeah. Also, just I want to say that as our team is like, it's very large and we can only bring a subset of the team to each competition. So we are quite strict with like behavioral policy as well as just how much effort students are putting into being on our team. But in return, we pay for the entire travel process. We pay for food, transportation. We manage all of the logistics. They just have to show up.
And this is a bit of like a budget question, but yeah, a majority of our budget does go to making sure that going to competition is accessible for each and every student. So whether that be through hotels, through food, through maybe plane flights if we were to qualify for Houston, that is typically all taken care of by the team. And I think it's a very unique part that we try to emphasize, especially with um, the size of the team we are and the resources that we have, that we are constantly making it accessible for each and every student, that they don't have to contribute if they're not in a financial or socioeconomic place to be able to afford that. So yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I think this is mine. Yeah, team culture and respect. So I said this to all of the people traveling for this competition. I said it to them yesterday. Behavior, the baseline is that you are going to be a good person, right? So whether that is being just overall kind, helpful, respectful, especially to a lot of the volunteers, and just every team or person they come in contact with at competition. Yeah, shorthand, just be a good person. That is the baseline, literally the baseline. Um, and then also be a role model, because as a position on our team, we understand that we are a role model team, and we're asking our students to also be big role models within the community. So through professionalism, because that's a big thing that we emphasize on the team, is that this is a good pre-professional activity, and so we do emphasize that, yeah, you need to be professional, especially in competition where things are constantly not extremely safe, but also to be responsible of getting down to the lobby to travel to the venue at maybe like 7 a.m. That is a responsibility of each and every one of our students. They are responsible for being role models, and also positivity, right? We definitely want each and every one of our students, on travel or not on travel, to be positive, to always look at the bright side. And so whenever we get into that like little mole in build season where we're like on our 13th intake design,
Robotics can be very stressful, as I'm sure all of you know.
you always got to be positive.
Yeah, it's just nice to keep a positive mindset and just be nice to your teammates.
And then transparency as well. So that also goes through a little bit of Slack. Oh my god, wait, I just realized that's me. It goes through a little bit of Slack is that you should use public channels that we're being transparent with one another. You should always voice your opinions, especially to your sub-team lead, so that we can make sure that everyone is feeling safe and has a really high standard of welfare. And then into culture. So first, we want everyone to have fun. Before every single match, Mike tells the drive team to have fun. So that's a big thing we emphasize, is that if you are coming to our meetings, and if you are on the team, we really want you guys to have fun. We really want people to feel like they come to these Wednesday, Thursday meetings, 9 to 5 meetings, and they feel like they have a family. And they feel like they have a community that they can always lean back on, they have support in, and just overall be a fun and great place to be. And then we also, this year, we have started our safety and wellness committee. So this is a group of, I believe, 6 students. 6 students.
One per sub team.
Yeah, one per sub team. Scouting has one, even though they're 2 sub teams technically. And these people, along with one of our mentors, they have a mission statement that is that everyone leaving every meeting is going to be safe, they're going to be uninjured, and they're going to be mentally and emotionally just feeling awesome. That's not the direct thing, but paraphrased. And so what the Safety and Wellness Committee does is that they take care of a lot of our safety moments that we have at the beginning of every single one of our general meetings. And so students are able to be aware of whether it be like pit box moving or safety glasses or ear protection or staying behind the yellow line in the machine shop. All of that is emphasized by our Safety and Wellness Committee. Yeah, I think that's all I had on that.
Right. So I'll just say about communication, the platforms that we usually use are just Slack and email. We have Slack channels dedicated to each sub team, and we we tell people to use the public Slack channels as much as possible, just so that we can keep all communications like open to everyone on the team. We can always be following design changes on the robot. If like I'm designing a mechanism and I'm like, I wonder how fabrication is doing. Is there a machine that's broken and that's why my parts aren't being made or something? I would go to like equipment status or hardware fabrication, which are just two of the channels, many channels that we have. And additionally, communication is a two-way street. It just means that especially if you are a leader on the team, you have to take a lot of responsibility with following up, just making sure that it is easy to reach you and you are just open to communication with your students. And also just please be clear while communicating. Say what you mean.
And also to add on to like maybe our Slack guidelines. So all of our Slack profiles have to be of a visible portion of your face so that people can see you on your Slack profile and know exactly who you are. We also ask that people put their sub-team within their bio as well as their phone number and email so that we're able to reach them and anybody on the team is able to reach them, whether we're at competition or not at competition or anything of such.
So as a very large team, we do have to provide like a lot of structure and organization to our students. We understand that that's not the case, that doesn't have to be the case for every team. So whatever works for you is the best solution. All right, so also our team documentation. We've been really pushing to just create more documentation of the stuff that we actually do every season. So we have something to fall back on the next year. Since our students like are continually cycling through our program every 4 years, it's not a long time to learn a lot of stuff or just make sure that you have all the knowledge from previous years. And are continually building the knowledge that we've gained from previous leaders, previous students on the team is very important to continue our program. So in our Google Drive, we've got folders for all of our previous itineraries, debriefs from previous events, and we also track like student attendance, outreach, participation, and just their registration information. And we also make sure that we manage like document sharing through Google Groups, which just makes it easier to update every year. And we communicate through email and our Google Drive folder. It just makes it a lot more streamlined for us to share information and make sure everyone's on the same page. All right. I think this is one of our like penultimate slides, but so succession and future leaders. So what we do is we look for a lot of younger students who just show that they're very dedicated to the team. Perhaps they're spending a lot of time coming to extra meetings. They're taking initiative on like maybe an outreach project or with building an off-season robot. We also look for just having a positive attitude, being friendly, like being open to helping their teammates. And we also just make sure that we're providing the training that all of our students need in order to become more knowledgeable and become a future leader. We provide like smaller leadership opportunities through our outreach programs. So for example, we run a weekly farmers market booth where we just connect with members of our community, like all those younger kids who go to the farmers market. We just get them interested in STEM and robotics. So that is a smaller role that someone younger on the team could fill as their outreach leadership position. And every single year, we do leadership applications and nominations. So we do have a formalized process for like making sure that our next leadership team will be able to accomplish the roles that they are assigned. We ask that every member of prospective leadership next year will write themselves like a nomination or be nominated by someone else on the team. And then we ask them to interview with us, with core leadership, which is me, Stephen, and our core mentors. And we make the ultimate decision as to who to put in leadership for the next year. All right. Yeah. Okay, so this is our team handbook. We've got the QR code if you would like to scan it. It's also available on our website at citruscircuits.org under team resources. Yeah. And this includes like in text format all of our rules, expectations, policies. A lot of the stuff that we've covered in this presentation are much more concisely outlined in this document. All right.
And we have the most fun part.
What's the most fun part?
Q&A.
Oh yeah, okay. Okay, has everyone gotten a chance to scan? Okay, I'll move on. So we want to hear from you guys. So what does your team structure look like, or what's something that you guys do differently from us?
Anyone? No?
So our sub-team structure is pretty similar to yours, where we have leadership, but we have an operations captain, which goes with mechanical programming, and then we have business instead of the core leadership. We just have, because we don't have as many team members.
Mhm.
But what we don't have is the outreach, because that's mainly, we don't have that as a specific sub-team, and it's more assigned to whoever was it.
Oh yeah, so we actually don't have a specific like outreach subteam. Sorry, it's expected of all the students who join our team that they participate in multiple outreach opportunities throughout the year, including like volunteering here. You might see a lot of our students wearing the lime, and we also have like a Davis Youth Robotics program that we do a lot of outreach for during the year.
Add on, we have 13 outreach programs. Yeah, just to put that in numbers. Okay. I think we move on to Q&A.
Okay, sure. All right, so any final comments or questions? We're gonna open it up to all of you.
It can be literally anything.
What's up?
Do you do interviews and stuff for drive team? Like, how do you decide who's on that sub team?
Okay, so
How drives the team?
our drive team is decided like once every 4 years. Like we have like each driver, we keep them on for their entirety of the stay on the team. So I actually haven't been on the team long enough to like be involved in the selection of a new drive team. So generally that's more managed by Michael Corsetto, who is our drive coach year round. So
It's kind of like so a big opportunity of where identifying potential drivers is at the outreach off-season competitions. So at Madtown Throwdown, we have multiple different robots. So I know my year at least, we had like 3 robots.
Yeah.
And so
we've actually both been on a
the same year, yeah.
Yeah.
But-
We were both on a drive team for
Yeah.
Madtown.
And so at those events, you're able to identify who is able to operate well under pressure in match scenarios, and then from there, it makes the decision a lot easier.
It's also just like students who have a lot of like extra time, like they come to extra meetings so they can do driver practice. And like they're reliable.
Yeah.
Do you guys have specific robots for drive team practice, and so what do those comprise?
It's usually just our old like previous season's robot or our off-season robots.
I had a question. How do you do the summer recruitment?
So how our summer recruitment works is that throughout the spring and also the fall, we constantly recruit for new students. Whether that be at the middle schools or through the high school classes, we always are trying to engage with the community and ask for more people to apply. And so after we get enough applications into our Google form, so they basically fill out this whole Google form. It asks like what sub team they would prefer to be on, like just some basic information about themselves, as well as a few like questions like what do you want to gain from the team, like what excites you about the team, what do you know about 1678 so far, stuff like that. And then once we go through those applications, we then offer interviews to pretty much every single one of the people who apply. And then through that, we're able to make the final selections of who we want and don't want to be on the team.
Yeah, we
Unfortunately.
have like a dedicated day for like an open house prior to when school gets out, just so that we can reach all of the students before like we get out for the summer. We have our application link open before school gets out.
So like May,
Yeah.
and then in June you have the interviews?
Yes.
Yeah. This year's late June, July.
Oh, does your team have some teams?
Yeah.
Yes, we have 7 different primary sub teams. Oh, there we go. We have 7 different primary sub teams, 3 under hardware, 3 under software, business media. That guy's a business media lead right there.
Yay.
And then we have 2 secondary sub teams, strategy and impact war. Nice. Any other questions? Yeah?
So our team recently tripled in size, so it's quite smaller, like big, so it's not even close to 100 plus, but I was just wondering how exactly do you guys manage your team size so effectively?
So
efficient.
Very good question.
that's a great question. Also, first off, congratulations. Second off, yeah, that would be very daunting. Like for us, I think we have the benefit of kind of always being a rather large team, or just we've grown like gradually over the years. Um, but a lot of it is just like we specialize on the team. Like our sub teams break down so that it's easier to have like a smaller
Yeah.
group of people dedicated to one task.
Mhm.
And then like everyone has their own roles. They have someone like there's multiple levels of leadership to communicate with.
I think probably the best way to put it is that through the team structure, we're able to, especially with core leadership, we do a lot of work with individual students on the team, but a lot of what we try to do is to manage all of our sub team leads so that they're able to effectively lead their individual sub teams. So like for hardware fabrication, for example, that sub team is right now about 20 students with one lead. And so we're essentially making sure that that lead is able to communicate well with their students, make sure all of their students are getting all the trainings on every single machine. And so at that point, it starts to break down less like it's a 108-person team and more like it's a 20-person team that's a part of this bigger team. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
So with all this training, how many hours does each student need to put in?
I don't think there's an hour limit particularly. I'll just take like again hardware fabrication as an example. So every single member of that sub team, basically all of hardware, has to do level 1, 2, and 3 on all 3 of our machines. So that is the lathe, the CNC router, and the mill. And so yeah, that's their responsibility to fulfill all those requirements, along with we have like outreach requirements as well, like we talked about with DYR and farmers market. Um, I can't really speak to exactly how many hours the software side of it is, but essentially they're learning throughout the entire off season. Yeah.
So how do you keep students engaged?
That is also a difficult question. So I will say that part of it is kind of like self-selecting. So like the students who are interested in joining our team and like go through our application process are generally already pretty excited. But we try to keep a lot of our training during the off season like interesting, hands-on for our younger students. Like a lot of our off-season robot projects are just really good learning opportunities because like when I joined the team, I was like, I have no idea how to use a hand drill. I don't know how to machine anything. So they were like, here, let's get you trained up on these machines. And I was like, hey, this is super cool. I get to physically do stuff, and I want to keep coming. So I guess a lot of it is just we try to engage like one-on-one or just closely with our individual students and give them specific like training opportunities. Like, yeah.
I think I talked about it a little bit earlier, but I think like really like investing in your team culture and your team community is very important because like I think at least for me like coming into these meetings like especially as like a sophomore I think because that was after COVID it's like these meetings definitely became a lot like it's like you're spending time with friends but you're also doing this awesome stuff you're like meeting a bunch of new people you're communicating you're like you really feel like connected to like a sense of community or family and I think that's a very big part of it especially with engaging students. And I think it's also about like also offering like a diverse set of opportunities. So not only do they do new members do like all the training they have to do in the off season, but they also get to volunteer at these outreach events. They get to mentor younger students who are doing DYR. They get to volunteer for summer robo camps. And so there's a lot of things that we try to offer our students so that it is a very engaging experience for every single person.
Yeah, we have like a lot of different niches for just people with different interests, different talents, but thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah.
So for core leadership, right, do you guys have like specific expectations for them?
It is all laid out in we have basically a contract that every single lead has to fill out. We have to fill
I'm
it out
not
too.
sure if that's publicly shared,
I
but
don't know if it's publicly shared, but yeah, I think some of the responsibilities is that you effectively lead the team throughout their competitive and outreach goals. You're basically, I think another one is that a lot of taking on management skills, logistics skills, being really open and flexible. I don't know exactly what's on that doc, but yeah. So it can vary depending on what core leadership is going to look like in any single other team or how another team is structured. Any other questions? Yeah.
What kind of team bonding activities do you guys do?
Oh, so we do
Favorite
actually, we did like recently this year start doing some like specific bonding events for girls on the team. So we had a bowling night recently. It was very fun. We're planning on doing a movie night soon. But also team wide, we do like full day. They're called WAD pins.
Bad pen.
So it's like work all day, play all night. So it's a 9 to 9 meeting where we do like a lot of, it's usually in the off season. So we do like organization, season prep, like working on off season robots, that kind of stuff, training. And then in the evening, we spend time just like playing video games together, like playing party games, Jackbox, that kind of stuff, just hanging out.
We also have the winter alumni party. So a lot of the alumni from the team have the opportunity to come back. We always invite them back.
Okay.
And then students are able to engage with alumni, maybe get advice from them, their experiences on the team, make new friends who are like in college, super cool. And then also I think like every single mandatory meeting that we have on Saturdays and Sundays, where we have that 1 hour between 12 and 1, where we provide lunch for students, that's a very big bonding opportunity that we get built in essentially. So students have this 1 hour to essentially make new friends, talk to people, talk about interests, and that's a very big source of how a lot of people bond on the team. One time, I'll share a specific example. One time, there was this one member on electrical, still on the team. I remember this very vividly. So we had both Chipotle and Costco pizza. So he took a part of the burrito, put it on the pizza, put sour cream on it, and then ate the whole thing. And I remember that extremely vividly. But yeah, stuff like that.
But we also do a dedicated end of year party just to celebrate like the season. Make sure all of our graduating seniors have a good time, like as their last moment on the team. We've chucked Steven in the pool.
That's the plan this year, though, right?
Yeah, we're gonna do that this year.
We
But-
chucked a bunch of seniors into a lake in Davis 1 year. It's a great idea, right? I'm just saying.
Good evening.
Yeah.
I was wondering, so this is more directed to you guys as leaders. How much time or what responsibilities do you fulfill like outside of leading themselves? So how much time are you putting in outside of leading?
Okay, so I will just say like outside of meetings, we do have to do like last minute organization for like travel logistics, especially just making sure that everyone gets here, gets fed, everyone's safe, has slept at least like a little bit.
Preferably a lot.
Has slept mostly.
Yeah.
And also I will just say it's kind of like my personal experience. I'm on hardware design and strategy. So hardware design, since we do a lot of CAD, a lot of it is actually done at home. And part of our philosophy is like doing as much CAD as possible, like at home, so we get the time in the shop to be able to act like physically assemble and test things, prototyping, manufacturing. So I do spend like during build season, it's a little dire.
Yeah. I think personally, because I was on hardware fabrication the past 2 years, a lot of the work I got to do was inside the shop. So then like I went home and I had to do like, especially as a lead, I had to do a lot of like checking over the part tracking sheet, making sure everything's like updated. But I also think like this year especially, I think a lot of it is organizing carpools, logistics, registration forms. That's a really big one. We manage the registration forms for every single member on our team. It's like a 7-step registration process that we have them fill out. And
It's like food preferences,
food preferences.
contacts, just making sure that they're registered on STIMS and like officially a part of our team is like harder than you would expect
Yeah.
with 108 students.
We also
yeah.
communicate a lot, I think, especially at home, with people over Slack who are asking about like, hey, can you send this message out for me? Talking about how we need more volunteers for this event. And we take on a lot of that responsibility. We also take on a lot of responsibility outside of team meetings to make sure every single lead, whether it be primary, secondary, or outreach, they all are fulfilling their goals. They feel confident in what they're doing, and we just provide them a lot of support in that regard as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if this question's been answered before, but you sort specific people and this specific team, like is it random or is there
So it's actually based on their preference that they indicated when they applied for the team. So they get to like rank their top 3 sub teams. Usually they get into their first or second choice, just based on like our capacity for training that year, and just like the room we have in the sub team to be like an effective group of people.
Speaking of training, do you like quiz anyone on like what tools or what?
Yes, there's a few different quizzes. There's a measurement quiz. I remember that we put out every year for the for new and returning fabrication members. I think they do an electrical quiz as well, I remember. They also have a bunch of electrical slides and Quizlets. I know strategy does a bunch of Kahoots and Quizlets as well. And then
You're forgetting our biggest test.
I think I probably am. I'm forgetting the rules test that we do at the beginning of every single
Kickoff.
kickoff.
Yeah, so the leadership team, like student leadership, we just sit down during kickoff. We make a really fast rules test for everyone on our team to take before we start our team-wide discussion. We do publicly release it every year on kickoff. So if you like just search 1678 rules test on Chief Delphi, you can find the link. And it's also probably in our training resources, like Chief Delphi post, and also on our website, citruscircuits.org. But basically, we make everyone answer some basic questions about like how point scoring in this game works, or just things that are relevant to the overall like strategic goal setting discussion, just so that everyone understands the game.
We do also ask every year what GP stands for, and a surprising non-zero amount of students do not select gracious professionalism on the first try. But yeah. Right. Yeah.
When we were talking about like team bonding, how do you manage like these people are here, they're your friends, but you're also here to work and not just, your friends.
Like for the wet panics, like stuff
No,
like that.
just like just being.
Oh, just in general?
Because we have a big role with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely finding balance with it, especially with like each individual sub team. But I think especially like from my experience, like being on fabrication, I think like how I viewed it a lot was, if you are at these meetings, you are at these meetings to work first off, but also to like have fun, of course. So I think a lot of the times like there would be students like at the routers that we had in our old shop, like in this little corner, they would always do the machining and do all that stuff, but also in some free time when they're just taking off apart, they'd also be able to talk to each other and just be able to still create that familial environment while also knowing that you have to get this task finished.
Okay, I will just say we do have to wrap up our presentation very soon, but we have time for like 1 or 2 more questions.
Can we go back to the vision and
Oh yeah,
vision and mission slide?
like ours or the other one? Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can also find this on our website, I think.
Any final comments, questions?
I do have a question. It's regarding other students that are like interested in the team, working with the team, and everything like normal, but then during the meetings or at any given time they just stop paying attention or they start like not working. What do you do about making them make sure? How do you do make sure that you're communicating with them so that they are able to get back on track?
So a lot of times if like sub-team needs to communicate these concerns to us, and then we're able to have a conversation with all of core and the student about about their behavior and what our expectation is on the team. Like every student that we have signs a contract that you can find at the end of our handbook. And essentially we are holding them to that standard at every single meeting, no matter what. Sometimes if it gets to it, especially with like if their attendance isn't as good and it's like way below 80%, we do end up going into cuts right before build season. But I think probably the TLDR on that is like you have to have conversation with them and you have to set out that this is an expectation. If you are not willing to fulfill these expectations, then you do not have to come to these meetings or be on the team at all. Stuff like that.
Yes.
If you have the slide that showed the attendance
Yes.
ones, because one of them that you had said unproductive,
Yes.
and that went towards them not being eligible to stay on the team.
It does count against their attendance.
That to me spoke volumes to this question that I think most teams face. Of course, those students that join as a social interaction, but not to work. So I think that's a really neat attendance code.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, we'll take one more.
Like with roles, like with the centers, how do you make sure that they're like engaged with the roles? So like they're not really trying to like go from one role to another.
So how we typically do it is that, I think if I'm getting your question right, is that how are you like making sure like one student is like doing the CAD and not trying to go off and do like electrical or something?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we do organize them into their sub teams. We definitely make it very clear at the very beginning that these are, if you are on the sub team, you are on the sub team, ideally for the entire year. And then at the end of every year, we always tell students that, hey, if you want to switch sub teams, if you want to go from hardware design to hardware electrical, that is possible, in our intent to return form at the end of the year. So then students are able to have that choice. But for students, like at the beginning of the year, we always try to ask them, hey, we like at the off season, like, hey, like you selected this, we want this, we think that you could like gain a lot of experience from this that you might not have already thought before that you would get before, and basically just turn it into an amazing experience for them. Like I think for me personally, I wanted to join business and media my first year, but my sister told me I should join hardware design. So I joined hardware design and I was like, oh, I don't like this at the very beginning, but then kept on going through it for like an entire year, and I was like, oh my God, like this is actually super cool. I got to learn all this other cool stuff before going to like hardware fabrication and doing all that stuff. That's how I'd answer that. Does that answer your question? Okay.
I mean, okay, I'll just say like as a very large team, we keep our roles and responsibilities quite distinct and rigid for the most part. So also like at events, we have specific outlined roles for every single student who comes with us on as part of travel team, and they need to be fulfilling their responsibilities and like not stepping on anyone else's toes. So we have like an outlined description of each of these roles in our team handbook, and we also have it labeled in our itinerary.
Yeah, like more like when I think of P roles, like so like it's like when you guys can let people get, you know, like there's a limit. How do you guys like?
Oh yeah.
Like,
Like having people crowd pit. Is that what you mean? Or like,
how do you distinguish roles? Like you know, like say like there's two people competing for a spot, and for how do you choose who to?
for the pit roles, I think a lot of that is also handled by Mike. But I think a lot of students understand, especially on our team, is that even if you don't go into pit, there's like a lot of other opportunities with citrus service. There's like a bunch of different scouting roles. There's a bunch of different strategy roles that you can do. And I think I think there's like definitely like, of course, there's going to be people who like really want to do this or really want to do that, but there's always we always show people that there's a lot of enjoyment in other different things that we do on the team as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's all we can get today because I know they have to do another presentation here. So with that, I think we just want to thank you guys for all coming to this. This is my first one at least. I think this is your second one, third one. Yeah, thank you so much for coming. Can we go to the last
slide? Oh, yeah.
So if you guys want to give us feedback, please scan this QR code. It's just got a short Google form for you guys to comment on our presentation.
And if you have any other questions, you can email them to us at administration@citruscircuits.org.
Great. Thank you all for coming. We hope you guys had a great time.